Well, welcome, my darling true crime angels, to Websleuths YouTube Live. My name is Trisha Griffith, and I know I say this all the time, but it's just absolutely true. I am one of the luckiest people on this planet. I get to wake up today and go to websleuths.com. It is a true crime discussion forum. It's been around for like 25 years, and it is amazing. I've been reading at the Nancy Guthrie thread all day today and got myself kind of worked up into a bit of a tizzy. So you have to forgive me. Remember when I got all mad at Ashley Banfield because she said that the Ramseys had been John Ramsey had been cleared by the Boulder police and they'd apologized to him, and of course that was like the biggest lie on the planet. I'm more in a tizzy than I was back then, but I'm calming myself down because, again, I'm the luckiest person. I get to be on websleuths.com, and then I get to come here Monday through Friday and talk to you all on Websleuths YouTube Live. Now, we are monetized, but all of the money from the monetization goes to DNA Solves. Check out dnasolves.com. You'll see it's a place where they raise money to pay for this very expensive DNA tests that are needed on these remains that have been found, and there's thousands of them. And there's so many families waiting for answers, but they just need the funding to get the testing done so their loved ones can be brought back home to them. So every single dollar, penny, every cent that is raised on this channel for monetization goes directly to DNA Solves. So just FYI. And by the way, you know, when you hear opinions on this channel, you hear me kind of going off on a rant. Those are my opinions. Please don't blame it on anybody else connected with the channel. It's me. If you don't like what I say, come to me. Actually, go to Stacy. It's her fault if I say something wrong. By the way, Stacy is having an issue with her family dog. I mean, this poor woman. It is just one thing after another, but I hope everything's going to be okay. I told her take the night off, take care of the puppy. We'll be here when you get back. So they think it might have parvo. It's so scary. So anyway, it's good to see everybody. Third underscore verse, Megan Connor, and let's see, Linda Young and Osane, and let's see, Truth Be Told, Mimi of 8. So many good people here. And if I miss your name, I do apologize. It's so hard for me to read the YouTube names now because I've got them all like running together. Okay. I need to tell you about somebody that I used to know and why and how, thinking about him, I have finally figured out Sheriff Chris Nanos. There's this guy named Dave, and he used to be our promotion guy, 30 years ago down at Z93. Great guy, loved Dave, but he was very odd. And we'd have to fire him about every year, and then he'd be gone for 6 months, and then he'd come back. He'd do great for a while, then we'd have to fire him. And every time we fired him, we'd go clean out his office, and there would be like gift certificates to like Red Lobster that he had been given for promotional use, but they were expired. Trips on jets to exotic places, expired certificates that were given for promotional use, but he held on to everything. He couldn't let it go. Even though these prizes were meant for the radio station to give away to help us promote our station and to get our listeners to love us. We were trying to buy their love and affection, of course. He would hold on to these gift certificates, and rather than give them up, rather than be able to just take them out of his desk and hand them to a disc jockey and say, here, you can give this away today, he would rather hold on to it and let it expire. Now, that is kind of a sickness. And it got me thinking, the little bit that I've read up on Sheriff Nanos, I've actually been defending him throughout this whole time with the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping and saying, it's hard to know how you're going to act if you're thrown into a situation like this, and nobody expects to be thrown into a social media situation like this. And well, I can't do that anymore. I can't, because it has been too long. There has been no movement in the case. Every bit of information that we've been able to get has either been given to us through mainstream media and their sources, or the little bit that Sheriff Nanos has given up, has been just wacky, like the January 11th date. How many times did he say, "Oh, that date means nothing"? No, no, doesn't mean a thing. Doesn't mean a thing. Come to find out, that wasn't true. Google said, "Hey, one of these images that they got from the from Nancy's camera, January 11th." Been saying that for a while, but now they say, "Well, they can't hear." Excuse me. I don't know if you heard that. Athi sounded like he hocked up a lung. Are you okay, baby? Anyway, he now Google is saying we can't guarantee that that image that you saw of a guy standing in Nancy Guthrie's yard is from January 11th. It's just a cluster. It's just a cluster. Why? Why? I think Sheriff Nanos has this thing about holding on to information. It's his. It's his. He can't give it up. Okay. What could be more helpful in a situation like this? I know I'm not law enforcement. I know if Mike King were here, he'd be looking at me smiling, wanting to come through the my screen and choke me. He'd be so angry at me, but he'd never do it because he's too kind, he's too sweet, and he's too wonderful. He'd smile and be thinking, "Trisha, shut up. I don't know what I'm talking about." But what could be more helpful in a situation like this than releasing information to help us identify this guy? Somebody knows who he is, okay? He's some weirdo that has done something weird, but they don't know they know him unless somebody in law enforcement can release some information that might trigger somebody's memory where they'll go, oh yeah, that guy, he is weird. Perfect example. Okay, perfect example. Ted Kaczynski. You remember him, the Unabomber? How long did he go? 20 years or so before they caught him. How did they catch him? Well, they finally printed his big, ridiculous manifesto. And his sister-in-law recognized a phrase in that manifesto that sounded like Ted. And his brother called the FBI. That's how they caught him. Why haven't they released something from the ransom note? Maybe that would trigger somebody's memory and they would say, "Oh yeah, that phrase, yeah, this guy said that to me once. And he's a weird guy. Yeah, he was acting really weird around the end of January." But no, it's like Sheriff Nanos, like my friend Dave, God rest his soul. He died a while ago. He just has to hang on to this. It's like if he gives it up, it will hurt him in some way. It will make him, less of, I don't know. If he gives it up and then somebody is able to turn in the information and they're able to solve the case, that will not be good for him. I'm trying to figure him out psychologically. I don't know. But I feel like Sheriff Nanos just has to hang on to this information and work with it. And he wants to find Nancy. I know he does. I'm not saying he doesn't, but what he doesn't want to do is give up any information to the public when in a case like this, where you have a kidnapping victim that maybe was alive at some point, should have been the first thing they should have been doing, giving up what they could without harming the case. They certainly weren't opposed to literally bashing in somebody's door that they thought might be connected. We don't know why they did that. We can only assume it had something to do with, electronics and some sort of, cell phone usage. I mean, who knows? We don't know. But why? Why? They released those images. That's great. But come on. You can't identify the guy unless you've seen a guy that that dresses like that. They go and they find gloves 2 miles away. He doesn't let people search. Why? And I'm not talking about volunteers getting together that have never searched before. No, these were professional searchers that wanted to come in. Or why not call in Texas EquiSearch? Anybody knows what they're doing, it's Texas EquiSearch. Why not? He says he knows the motive. Tell us. Maybe that will trigger somebody's memory. Tell us something. For God's sakes, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people waiting for something. And there's somebody out there that knows it. You just don't know it because Sheriff Nanos will not give anybody the information they need to process the fact that they have information. Because we know nothing. We know nothing. Last night, we talked about a theory that one of our mad chatters, the Thoris, had, which was an excellent theory based on her experience of working with in the prison system in Vermont, working with these men that are predators that prey on senior women and why. And it's disgusting and horrible. And it's the worst possible thing that you can think of that might have happened to Nancy. But you know what? We need to talk about it in case somebody knows something. I made a short today, and I was very flippant, and I may pull it down because I said he reminded me of a 3-year-old that had toilet training issues. He didn't want to give up anything. After I said that, I felt bad, but I don't understand it. I do not understand it. I have a feeling that Savannah Guthrie has a lot to say, but she's in a terrible position, obviously, going through this living hell. And I'm sure law enforcement, I'm sure Sheriff Nanos is saying, don't say anything, don't say anything, don't say anything. But they finally came out and said, yeah, everybody, January 11th, please look at your cameras. Think about that date. The Guthrie family came out and said something, not the sheriff. No, the sheriff said January 11th had nothing to do with it. Then we find out that Google is saying, yeah, January 11th was the date that guy was standing there on Nancy Guthrie's porch. But now maybe, no, it might not be January 11th. Oh my God. I don't understand. So anyway, we'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot going on. The county supervisors voted to bring Sheriff Nanos in and have him answer questions under oath about his resume. They say he lied. It sounds like it could have just been a date mix-up. It didn't. The little bit I heard about the resume issue, it didn't sound like it was that big of a deal unless they've discovered something else. It had to do with a date, I think, of a graduation of some sort. I can't remember, but it could be easily explained if that's the only issue they have. But they want to have him answer questions about disciplinary issues that happened decades ago that are very troubling. And there is an active movement now trying to get enough signatures to have a recall vote for Sheriff Nanos. I don't know what more Sheriff Nanos needs to understand that what he is doing is not working. They haven't found Nancy. They haven't released any clues that would help anybody think of anything to find Nancy. What's a definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result? Well, this hasn't worked. And it'd be one thing if this was a murder, but it involves a live kidnapping victim who we all believe is no longer alive. But why not act like she might be? Let's go at it that way. Let's go at it with that force, with that urgency. 6 weeks, 7 weeks now? I don't understand. Exactly, Megan, third verse. So many people have Ring doorbell cameras, Why couldn't the sheriff come out and say, hey, we believe it is January 11th. Everybody look at January 11th or around January 11th. See what you have. Come out later. Oh, well, Google isn't sure it's January 11th, but why would it hurt? Why would it hurt? Well, if I understand the story correctly, at first they thought it was January 11th, and now Google is saying they can't be certain it was January 11th. But none of that came from the sheriff until recently, and it came from the Guthries. I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to do. Yeah, there's a bunch of billboards that are up about Nancy. I don't know. Let's see. Spam Mama says, hoping and praying that lady gets to put up a billboard of the porch guy, and in Spanish, exactly. Jesse, exactly. And so many people have video in the days after. Hopefully, the police are going through the footage that the media and YouTubers took. Did they go back to admire the chaos they caused? I don't know. This is just crazy. Yeah, Wendy Wobbles, what the Thora said made a lot of sense to me, and it changed my thoughts. I was certain this had to do with Savannah. After listening to what the Thora said, I don't think so. I think this is one of those sick, twisted, disgusting individuals that targets elderly women that live alone. So, well, oh my gosh, that is absolutely brilliant. Listening to Nanos is like playing the telephone game, except it's just him. Yeah, it's just him going back and forth on the telephone. You're exactly right. I don't know what this means, says the woman who didn't have the time of day for the Betty Alexander case. I have no idea what you mean. I'm assuming you're talking about me. If you have a problem with me, email me, websleuthsvideos@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to talk. Mad Chatter, 102, it depends, I think, on your, on what you have. Mine, I think, gosh, I think mine are for a long time. Well, I take it back. I think it's like for 30 days, but you can download them. And then you have them forever, you know? So, anyway. Oh, Lin Gen 2 says, mine are being installed tomorrow. Good, 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 good. Let's see here. Oh, Lin Gen 2, thank you so much for the super chat. That was so nice of you, and I didn't catch it. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Just a sample of a super chat, easy to do, and it helps DNA Solves put the DNA pieces together. Thank you, my dear. Thank you so, so much. That's very kind of you. Yeah, all of the money raised goes to DNAsolves.com, okay? All of the money on this channel, that's exactly where it goes. So thank you, Lin Jen. Well, exactly, Brooke Rose. There has to be something they can share without compromising the case. Even small details make a difference. Again, I'm just going to keep pounding this in, people. The Unabomber case, the manifesto. If I remember correctly, the law enforcement did not want that manifesto printed, but mainstream media said, no, we're going to print it. And they did. And it was, I wish I could remember the phrase. It was a really unique phrase that that the sister-in-law recognized and went to her husband and said, doesn't your brother say this? And he went, yeah, I think you're right. You know what? I'm going to take a look and see if I can find that. So let's see here. Oh, D-Max, I don't think Sheriff Nanos likes the media at all. Not at all. I think he thinks it interferes with what he's doing. When in reality, in this case, the media could be his very best friend. Social media could be his very best friend. Websleuths would, if he would just take a second and look at what the people at Websleuths do. Websleuths.com. Again, it is very, Stephanie Ferraro, thank you. She says, your theory makes the most sense. Thank you, Stephanie, for the super chat. It's not letting me put it back up. I apologize. I did not see that earlier. But thank you, thank you, thank you very, very much. Yeah, it does make the most sense when you listen to what Oh, Stephanie, that's okay. I can read typing that is accidental. I'm good at that. But it does make the most sense when you understand about these type of predators. And it makes the most sense that he stood out there waiting to see if there would be some sort of an alert on that camera. He just stood there, it looks like. Didn't have anything with him other than he was covered from head to toe, basically. And like the Thor said, this is what these guys talked about. This is what they would do. They'd go test doorbell cameras to see if there was any sort of reaction response. That's how they could test to see if it was connected to any sort of program. Like mine is ADT. So, oh boy. Anyway, let's see here. Hey, talk amongst yourselves for just a moment. I'm going to look up something here. It's going to drive me crazy. I want to find the Unabomber thing, because to me that is such a great example of how releasing just a little something can turn this case around and change everything. So let's see, Unabomber phrase. Whoops. Recognized by sister-in-law. Oh, that's right. The cake. Thank you. Somebody said the cake. That's right. It's the cake. Eating of the cake. That's right. It's this inverted phrase. You can't eat your cake and have it too. The phrase is you can't have your cake and eat it too. But he inverted it and said you can't eat your cake and have it too. That's what Ted Kaczynski used to say. That was in the letter. And never in a million years, I think his name is Dave, did Dave Kaczynski think, yeah, that's my brother, the Unabomber. Didn't even enter his mind. That phrase did it. Thank you. It was the cake. Thank you. I saw people in chat saying the cake, the cake. I'm like, yeah, it sounds familiar, but I can't remember. So yeah, he inverted that. Why not release something from the ransom note? There's some very specific weird things in the ransom note, according to TMZ. So Kelly J says, I wonder if Nanos was working on the Gabby Gifford case. And, oh, yeah, I don't know. Hello, V-Team Paranormal and Penguin. Good to see you. Olivier, thank you. Hello, hello. Spam Mama, Stephanie Ferraro. Hi, guys. Hi, Robert Chinnery. Just call me Kim, Jesse Roblin, Laura Thomas. Okay, you know what? Nice to have you here. You obviously don't like me, and that is absolutely fine. I can live with that. So you can just bye-bye. Anyway, Sheriff Nanos has an issue with releasing things that he believes belong to him. And he won't release anything helpful that will allow the public or the media to help him. Now, I believe again, I may be wrong, but I believe Sheriff Nanos is the one in charge of Nancy Guthrie. Therefore, he's the one that gets to decide what is released. The only reason we know about what law enforcement has been asking is because neighbors have been talking about FBI coming around. Oh, Megan Connor. Yes, Megan. I can't believe it took me this long. I would love to have you come up. Can you join us, my dear? That would be fantastic. I would like to know what you think about this case. If you'd like to come up, I would love to have you. And by the way, Megan is going to be here on Friday for our Mental Health Friday. It's going to be very, very good. I'm excited about it. So I've just put the link to have Megan come up and chat if she'd like to. Yes, Megan's been spotted. She cannot escape. Thank you for the super sticker, Linda versus Linda. Thank you. Thank you. You are very sweet, my dear. Thank you very much. Again, that goes to DNA Solves. Just go to DNAsolves.com and you'll see that's where they're raising money for these really expensive DNA tests to help identify the remains. So, yeah, Friday's going to be really good. What, McSpunky? McSpunky says, I'm officially not driving anymore. I'm in my coffin fortress. Well, just stay safe, McSpunky. We love you. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're safe. Very glad. So, okay. I'm going to play a few little things here. Now, Ashley Banfield has come up claiming her sources are saying that Nancy Guthrie didn't lock her doors. Yikes. That would make a lot of sense. That's the other thing. Why not tell us how he got in? Why not tell us? If she didn't lock her doors, why not say she didn't lock her doors? Please, please, especially women, lock your doors. Would the Guthries have any problem with that? I don't think so. But nothing, absolutely nothing. So, oh no, that's what Matt Chatter, that's okay. You know, I used to love Ashley. I did. I have a problem with some of the things she's done, especially in the Ramsey case. It's like, well, what the hell? But here's the thing. I'm going to play this for you. She says her sources say that Nancy Guthrie did not lock her doors. Now, we'll get into the details here in just a moment. So, well, yeah, and Jeannie Phillips, Ashley's sources may not be the best because remember, she had her source that was absolutely solid, that it was the son-in-law. It was a prime suspect. Solid, solid, solid. That was upsetting because that was shortly after she was kidnapped. And if he was the prime suspect, well, he'd change his behavior. And then maybe they wouldn't find her, Nancy, because he changed his behavior because that was being reported. That's why I felt that was very irresponsible. See, should control things in the world if they'd let me, but they won't. They just won't. So. Whoa! Yikes! Everybody, look, McSpunky, thank you. $50, a donation to DNA Solves and our favorite Weirdy host. I love you, McSpunky. Thank you. And I wear my Weirdy pride proudly. My Weirdy title. I'm a Weirdy. And thank you. Yes, that goes to DNAsolves.com. Thank you. Thank you, McSpunky. What a sweetheart. What a sweetheart. You crack me up. Anyway, and Megan, I don't want to pressure you, but if you would like to come up, we would love to have you. Absolutely love to have you. So I know McSpunky's very generous. We love McSpunky. You are the bomb. That's right, Linjin too. Okay, I'm going to play this from Ashley Banfield, just a little bit of it, and then we will talk about a few other cases here. Where did it go? Where did it go? I just had it. Oh, here it is. Ashley Banfield. Here is from her Drop Dead Serious. And oh, I heard a bloop. I think Megan is here, so we're going to play Ashley, and then we'll bring Megan up, and we'll see what Megan has to say. So let me share this here. Here we go.
Banfield, this is Drop Dead Serious. Thank you so much for being here. And by the way, if you were on our member Q&A yesterday, I think it went for almost 2 hours. Thank you very much. I appreciate having you. If you weren't, I'd love it if you join us for our next one. It was fun. Just join as a member and you can be a part of the Q&A and get a bunch of like exclusive content that I share with the members. And if you haven't subscribed yet, boink, boink, boink. It's free. It's easy. It's fun. and you do me a solid if you subscribe. Thank you so much. It's day 50 effing 1 of the Nancy Guthrie case. I have some breaking news. I've spoken to a couple of my sources. I think I've told you a few times now that I've got a lot of friends in the FBI, local police, Border Patrol, sheriff's departments all around the country, and a couple of really solid sources in this Arizona story. And so, canvassing a few of my sources, I have discovered something new in this case that is starting to make a lot of sense. The Guthrie family has told the local investigators who are working Nancy Guthrie's missing persons case that Nancy Guthrie frequently left her back doors open, unlocked, which now would make a lot more sense as to how this guy got in so easily, right? It's upsetting to know that, but it's helpful information for the police. You're going to find out why that changes the way you might look at a case, how you might investigate a bad guy, a source, or a suspect. It's interesting when you look at the possibilities of doors regularly being left open. The dynamic can actually change and the offender profile can actually change. I'm digging into that in this episode, but I'm also doing something in this episode that I think will help you to understand Mrs. Guthrie's home, because looking at it from the outside, it's kind of tricky. And I have thought all along that this very pretty little blue door at the back of her home was likely the back door that was left open. That has all been turned up on its end based on my sources and them telling me about this issue about the Guthrie's kids, the Guthrie kids telling the police that their mom frequently, regularly left the back doors, plural, open. I have Gray Hughes from Gray Hughes Investigates, who's really good at doing 3D imaging, working his way around crime scenes and figuring out outsides and insides. And he was masterful during the Idaho murders case at 1122 King Road. And he is going to be so incredibly helpful in just a moment when he joins us to show you all of the different potential entry points to Nancy Guthrie's home.
So there you go. Again, her sources have been wrong, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But that makes sense on how he was able to get in. It does. Now, the Thoris pointed out something watching that video. Remember, he went and grabbed those flowers, wherever the head of the worm, put them up to the camera. Well, she said if you look at his other hand, it looks like it's on the handle of the door and he's trying it, which could be, absolutely could be. But let's bring up Megan Connor from third_verse. How are you doing, Megan?
I'm doing well. How about you, Trisha?
I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to having you on this Friday during our Mental Health Friday. But
Yes.
I'm real curious to hear what you think about Nancy Guthrie.
Oh, this case has been so troubling to me, and I have been really reluctant to comment on it just because, all of us have somebody that we love that is in a vulnerable situation like this.
Mm-hmm.
And, all of us hate to think that some delivery driver or some person coming to a home could potentially take advantage of somebody who's vulnerable in this way. I don't know. This has been really
Right.
disturbing to me. And what's been really hard, as what you've been covering,
Mm-hmm.
that the sheriff has not been forthcoming with details that could help the public identify someone. I think that's what's most frustrating, because in these sorts of cases, it's often the public who come forward with details that are seemingly insignificant, but they
Mm-hmm.
really end up being, what breaks the case. That's what's been really the most troubling to me. Is it seems to me like the sheriff is gatekeeping information because he wants to be the one to crack the case and solve it. But at the end of the day, I really think it's going to be people in the community who have information they're going to share with law enforcement.
Absolutely right. And I can't understand why he is so adamant about holding on to information. Again, it reminds me so much of my friend Dave, my dear friend Dave, who just couldn't bear to let go of these gift certificates, and he'd rather let them expire than give them to somebody to give away on the air. It was the craziest thing, but that's what he did. And it's like he just does not want to give any information away. It's like he owns it. It's his. And
Yeah.
I feel like he has convinced himself that it won't do any good. And it is like the worst thing in the world. It would be the best thing he could do. In the beginning, I'm like, okay, yeah, law enforcement, they need to keep it close to the vest. But then when they went to these random people's houses and they were dragging people out of their cars and had nothing to do with it, I'm like, obviously, they're just, God knows how they got these people and why they thought they were involved. I
Yeah.
just,
It's very weird. The only sense that I can make of it is that the sheriff himself wants to be the one who breaks all of
mhm,
the information, and he
yes.
doesn't want, I don't know, it's just so bizarre. It's like, if you want to solve the case, then you should access all the resources that you have. But for some reason, he wants to be the one to disseminate all the information, and he doesn't want people contributing things, which seems counterproductive to solving the case.
It does, and you're right. He wants to be the one that gives out the information, nobody else, only him, and he wants to be the
Right.
one to solve it. And but he hasn't really given anything of substance out that I can remember,
No.
other than that picture, or was that even I think that might have been the FBI that released it. I can't remember, but he hasn't
Well,
come
and
out. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and also he, you know, he doesn't want to use the information that the public is willing to offer. That's what's
Right,
troubling.
right, exactly. The public, my gosh, they could give him so much information, and I'm sure they've tried. Well, again, the professional search people that came in. Do you have any specific examples of somebody offering him information and him not taking it? Or are you just talking in general?
Well, I'm talking in general, but also I just think that if he were to make a plea in a different way, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if he were to say, listen, this date of the 11th, this is super important to the investigation. Could you please all go back and review your doorbell camera footage from that day and see if there was anyone walking through your neighborhood that seemed suspicious? If
Mm-hmm.
there was anyone you don't recognize, if you have any footage of anybody walking
Right.
past your door, especially in the nighttime hours, between whatever and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
please submit that footage and let us look at it. Let us analyze it. But it seems like he almost doesn't want to know because, if people submit that footage, then it's like, oh, well, so and so ordinary citizen had a camera footage that broke the case and it wasn't me.
And it wasn't
It's
me
like,
that broke it.
okay. It's like,
Right.
please. So I always appreciate very direct communication. So if there's something that you need from me, please tell me this exact thing. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this sheriff should be doing.
Right.
He should be telling the public, look, on this date, between these hours, we think that there's a possibility that you could have seen something or your camera footage could have seen something. So many people have doorbell cameras now.
Mm-hmm.
And if he would do a specific date and time to say, review your footage, see if there's
Yes.
anything weird, send it in, and they could review all of that, I think they would
Absolutely.
possibly find something. But it seems like he almost doesn't want to know because he doesn't want to be the public to be the one that breaks the
That
case. I don't
that
know.
broke
It
this
just,
case. Like
yeah,
you said, John and Jane Q. Public. Oh, they submitted their doorbell camera footage, and it broke the case. Not Sheriff Nanos, but this
right.
couple. You're right. And it has taken me 50 days to come to that conclusion. I did not want to think that was true. I did not want to believe what my eyes were seeing. I wanted to think that I was just being overly critical, and I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because I thought that's it. No, it can't be. It can't be. This huge case like this, I am looking at this wrong. There's no way a law enforcement sheriff, a man who was elected to office, would behave like this.
Well,
But
here is what really was a red flag to me. When his own people are coming forward and making complaints against him and having a vote of no confidence against him, that is a red flag.
huge,
You know, if he were truly acting in the best interest of solving the case, if he were truly acting in the best interest of seeing justice served, then his deputies would not be complaining against him.
right?
The people who work
Exactly.
under him and who work with him would be advocating for him and would be saying, look, you know, this is the reason he's doing XYZ. But they're not, they're against him.
Mhm.
And so that's, to me, that's just very telling.
In fact, here's the headline, Megan. Pima County Deputies Union votes no confidence in Sheriff Chris Nanos. And I believe it was 100%
Yeah.
that voted no confidence.
There were
Yeah.
no dissenters against that. And that's so telling.
Mhm.
Listen, if your entire if your entire police force, you know, is against you
Mhm.
in the way that you're handling a case, that's a red flag that, hey, maybe there are some things you need to change about
Right.
the way that you're handling this.
Well, and again, it in the beginning, I think we could all go along with, okay, they don't want to release anything. There's a reason they don't want to release anything. You know, but when you have a case with a potential living victim, time is of the essence. You
Yes.
don't clam up and give nothing. You talk to the people every single day. You call
Yeah.
in Texas EquiSearch. That, to me, that is the gold standard in searching. You ask them to come in. Texas EquiSearch has to be invited in, but they didn't invite them. The Cajun Navy offered to come in, wouldn't take them up on their offer. None of it made sense. And I finally had to admit the only thing that makes sense is Nanos literally does not want the public to do anything. And he refuses to release any information that might help this case because it will hurt his chances of solving it. And that is absolutely shocking to me. Absolutely shocking.
I agree with you. And I will always say, I think that collaboration is the highest form of success.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when people collaborate with each other, share ideas, share information, you know, share tactics,
Exactly.
that's the way for people to actually achieve success. And when people refuse to collaborate, I think that is a recipe for failure. I think that is the definition of narcissism. If you refuse to
Yes,
collaborate with other people, it means you think more highly of yourself than you do of anybody else's contributions, and you refuse to learn from other people. And so, you know, I don't care what industry you're in, I don't care what goal you're trying to achieve. You can always learn more and do better when you collaborate with other people because they have a different perspective. And
absolutely.
so I think his unwillingness to allow the public to assist in this search is a marker of narcissism. And it is a point where we can say he does not have a clear head.
Mhm. Yeah, there's something deeply wrong and very troubling. And like V Team Paranormal says, who knows how many other cases are being jeopardized because of Nano's big ego. And I
Mm.
can't tell you how difficult this was for me to actually come forward and say this. But when I sat down yesterday and looked at everything, I just started getting so upset. It's like you can't ignore it any longer. You just can't. You know.
Yeah.
There is another video that I would like to play. Let's see if I can find it here. Hang on. It is from. Let me get it here. Just a second. Hold on just a second here. I can get it from Websleuths. And it's Brian Entin. By the way, Brian Entin did his normal nightly video, and it's the first time since Nancy Guthrie that it has not been about Nancy Guthrie. So yeah, it made me sad because it's like, no. There's something that means that there's nothing new. So anyway, I'm going to play this from Brian Entin. This is a 90-second little blurb doodatter. Let me get it on YouTube here. There we go. And I've got to go turn my air conditioning on. It just turned itself off, and it's like, oh my God, I'm going to melt. So hang on here. I'll be right back. Is this it? No, that's it. Here we go.
An interesting development with the Nancy Guthrie investigation when it comes to the sheriff, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. So there was just this county supervisors meeting. So that's the government body over Pima County, where they voted unanimously to approve a plan to require the sheriff to report under oath about several issues. Now, remember, these issues have come out about whether or not he lied about his resume and disciplinary issues he had at his previous job decades ago in El Paso. And there are accusations he lied under oath. So now they're going to try to call him into the supervisors meeting and asking questions about this, it sounds. And there's also a recall effort that's underway to have a recall where there could be a special election. Bottom line, though, there's a lot of people, it seems, in the county that want to throw out the sheriff. And there have been issues, I guess, for a while, but the Nancy Guthrie investigation seems to have sort of been the icing on the cake for a lot of the locals. The sheriff has maintained that, he's done nothing wrong, that he wouldn't change anything about the way he handled the Nancy Guthrie investigation. But it's just kind of interesting to watch some of these local politics play out. And I'm going to kind of keep an eye on it because, and what's also interesting is, the sheriff's a Democrat, and some of the people who really want him thrown out are also Democrats. So anyway, just wanted to give you the update because they just voted on that at the supervisors meeting. I've been watching it online. Hey guys.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. Here is the link to that video from Brian Entin. Again, just very, very sad that all of these people are coming forward, and there are some troubling things that are coming out about Sheriff Nanos that happened a long, long time ago. Some really troubling issues with how he dealt with prisoners and people in his patrol car and such. In fact, Duty Ron, let me see if I can find it. Duty Ron had a great little clip the other day about this. But hey, Megan, can you stay on and talk about the Duggars for a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Hang on here just a second. I want to see if I can find this really quickly. Oh, shorts. That's what I want. I want the shorts. I want the shorts. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. This is from the other day. I'm going to play this real quick here.
Was there an additional vote of no confidence for Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, or was I imagining that?
No, that is correct, and we're going to announce it tomorrow morning, so I can kind of give you the inside scoop tonight. We took a vote, an additional vote. The last one was in 2024, so it had been a few years, and particularly we did it in light of the recent revelations of his background. And I got a lot of angry calls from the members, and I figured it'd be a good time to take another vote. And so we're much bigger now than we were in 2024. We now represent over 300 members of the 395, I think, total commissioned. So we took a vote and it returned unanimous. Last time it was, I think, 98%. This one was unanimous. It was not only no confidence, but it was no confidence and a call for him to resign. So we will be announcing that on our Facebook page and X page tomorrow morning and sending those letters over to the Board of Supervisors. But a large majority of his own deputies are now saying with one voice that they have no confidence and are telling him that he should resign.
Was there an
And Megan, that's what you were saying right there. You know, when your own people are saying, "Hey, we just we have no confidence, absolutely no confidence." So,
Right.
And he comes right out and says that guy's very vocal, and I love him. So hang on here just a second. I'm trying to find. Hold on one sec, just a second here. God, I just got to search on my phone. I hate using this computer. I can't get it out of a Bing search. So just a second here. Nanos. Whoops. Nanos. Background. Let's see if I can find it. I can't find it. But anyway, there were some very, very troubling stories about how he was, suspended because he bashed somebody on the head with a flashlight for no reason. I mean, just really scary stories like that. And the cop that was talking about it said, any cop that does anything like that just needs to go. I mean, they don't need to be brought back. And this was decades ago. So it's just really terrifying.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think that has to do with anger issues. It has to do with emotional regulation. If you can't regulate, you do not need to be in the field. You do not need to be in people's worst situations,
Mm-hmm.
Trying to mitigate, trying to de escalate. You cannot de escalate situations if you're emotionally triggered.
Absolutely right. 100%. And I think he's emotionally triggered very easily, and he gets very, very upset.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. And again, one of the first things was when he was asked directly over and over, is the son-in-law of Nancy Guthrie a suspect? And he would say, nobody has been cleared. Nobody has been cleared. When he responds like that, being asked directly if Anna's husband is a suspect, and he says nobody's been cleared, people think, okay, reading between the lines, he's trying to say he's a suspect. That is a
Right.
logical thing for people to assume.
Right.
Well, then, the next day he comes out and is chastising everybody because people thought he was a suspect. And he says they have been cleared, 100% cleared. Well, we didn't know that. Nobody knew that until just now.
Right.
And he's chastising people. It's like I'm watching somebody that has absolutely no self-awareness of how he looks and sounds.
Yeah.
And it's really troubling. And
Yeah. And if you're not able to make it clear that somebody is cleared as a suspect, it's better not to say.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Again, it's very very troubling. It was interesting, Brian Entin kept trying to get an interview with him. Finally got it. And when he did, he put Brian in this teeny tiny little chair. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
It was very it was like he made him uncomfortable.
Yes, on purpose. Yeah.
It was very
It's a power differential.
Right. Yeah, speak to that a little bit. I found that so bizarre.
Yeah. So, I mean, people who are very insecure are going to create a situation in which they can feel more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can attest to this, many times I've been in a situation where there has been a job interview or whatever where the person who is in charge feels like they have to control the situation.
Yes.
So they make you feel as small as possible.
Mm-hmm.
For example, they will put you, like we saw, in a smaller chair, or
Yes.
they will be behind a very large desk. They create distance between you and them, or they will put themselves literally on a pedestal. They'll put themselves on a higher plane than you are. You're sitting on a chair that's a couple of steps down from where they
Mhm.
are. Their desk is on a higher plane. Or they just will get really, really close to you, especially if they're taller than you,
Mm-hmm.
and try to intimidate you. And it's all of this is coercive control. All of this is meant to make you feel smaller than you actually are and to try and intimidate you. And
Right.
it's this kind of thing where, especially law enforcement, if there are law enforcement people who are, they're unhealed. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason they chose law enforcement is because they wanted to have control over things and they didn't when they were a child or whatever. This is where you get those situations where cops overreact,
Mm-hmm.
if you're speeding and they are furious with you. It's like, okay, this is a simple violation.
Right. Why are you so
Please,
mad?
right, please write me my ticket and let me go my way.
Mm-hmm.
You're not truly endangering people. You're just, obviously you broke the law if you're speeding. Okay,
Right.
let's write the ticket and move on, but they have to escalate it. And so it's this kind of situation where people who have any kind of control or power, it's where, people take jobs as security guards, even though they're just kind of glorified mall cops. They don't really have a weapon or any
Mm-hmm.
authority, but they take jobs like that to make them feel more powerful because they feel out of control in their everyday lives.
Yeah.
And
That
so they
makes
take
perfect sense.
advantage of that, and they try to make people feel small
Right.
because of the power that they have. So all of this going back to this sheriff, for example, he's withholding information and he is making it impossible for other people to cooperate in the
Mm-hmm.
investigation,
Right.
when truly collaboration could be the key to success here. But he refuses to do that, and he refuses to release the information that could make collaboration possible. And that is ego, and it's insecurity, and it's just somebody trying to control the situation, when in reality he probably realizes he can't control it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's frustrating to him.
To him. And that's, yeah, exactly. I want to comment on this comment from, let's see, Psychos and Liars of YouTube. What I don't get is, why do you all care so much? This happens in so many cases because of a high profile case, because it's high profile, you care. No, we care because a senior citizen, an older woman, was taken alive. And we sat and watched, and the hours and days and weeks and now months go by with nothing from this sheriff. And yeah, there could be all kinds of cases where law enforcement acts like this. But in this particular case, there was a life that was on the line. I do believe that she has since passed. But yes, it is high profile, but it's high profile. I don't think not so much as yeah, Nancy Guthrie was Savannah's daughter. Sure, that helped. But this was a senior citizen literally grabbed from her home in the middle of the night by the boogeyman, by the scary person that you don't want to believe is real. And that's why we care, because it shouldn't be taking this long. My God, they have video of the guy. They have, ways to, they have all kinds of equipment that can trace people. It just shouldn't take this long. So that's why we care. That's why I care anyway. And I'm sure that's why most people do care. So yeah. And
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's about a vulnerable person being taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
And we care about that because we're human beings, and because we
Right.
we think about all the vulnerable people that we know in our own lives,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't want them to be taken advantage of. And we would hope that if that happens, that people would use every single resource at their disposal to try and help and find and save that person. And when we see that not happening, it makes us angry, and it should.
Right.
It makes us upset, and it should, because
Mm-hmm.
we see there's an injustice there.
Exactly. It's a huge injustice. And again, it absolutely should make us angry. Sweet Universe said, someone said that law enforcement doesn't owe updates to the media. Well, again, I think they owe updates to the public and to help try and find this killer. No, and I know you're not saying that, Sweet Universe. I know that's not you. But that's what other people have said, that law enforcement doesn't owe us anything. Well, if they want to solve the case, yeah, they do. And the way to solve this case was to involve the public. It's a little late now, not too late. I'm sure that he could still do it, but I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to get removed from office. And maybe the next person will come in and do what needs to be done. But yeah, I'm law enforcement. Law enforcement owes us a good, working group of women and men solving crime. That's what they owe us. And that, I believe, involves at times working with the public and working with the media. This is definitely one of those times, without question. This is one of those times. So I'm sorry, are you going to say something? Did I interrupt?
No, I'm agreeing
Okay.
with you.
Okay, great.
I agree with you 100%. I think that they could share more information, and that would be a better outcome.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see what you guys are saying. So here we go. Anyway, let's see here. Do 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 do. Yeah, Mad Chatter. They've asked the public for help, especially the Guthrie family, but they don't tell us anything. And it's not up to the Guthrie family to tell us anything, but they did come out and say, please look at January 11th. And that's the first time that anything publicly has been said. Now, we know they've been asking neighbors and such, but I was glad to see the Guthrie family put that out there. I wish they'd put out more. So, yeah, I think I got the troll. Did I not? I think I did. So, let's see here. I believe I did. So, I think we're all good, everybody. Anyway, okay. I'll tell you what. Let me make sure yeah. Do we have any mods in chat? I think we do, don't we? Not sure. Anyway, okay. Chat is all cleared up, everybody. We're all good. So thank you. Thank you very much. Alrighty, so let's go to the Duggars. And I don't know if you heard our Duggar Digger, little Texan. I love her. I talked to her for about an hour after we were done yesterday. She's been following the Duggars literally since that 14 kids and more coming out of my uterus special, whatever the hell it was called. And
18 kids in counting, I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And she's been following it, just, she has all the details. And to see another young man, well, he's not young, he's in his 30s, to see another grown man do something to harm a child is coming from this same family. And we know that the grandfather, that Jim Bob's father, was a known pedophile in the family. They didn't want anybody, no kids were allowed to be around him. Megan, does, and I don't know if you know this or not, but does CPS or law enforcement have an obligation to check out the rest of these adults in this family to see how they're treating their children, how they're raising them, and to see if there are any, do forensic interviews with their kids?
So As far as I understand it, and this is coming from me being a mandated reporter in Texas for many, many years,
Mm-hmm.
and where I had to make many reports, I had to be interviewed many times. Um, from what I understand, the report has a limited scope. So
Mm-hmm.
the person reporting, gives the details of what they feel or what they think or what they observe is happening. And CPS has to investigate those specific things.
Mm-hmm.
If in that investigation they observe additional details, they can investigate those things.
Okay.
However, for example, if I make a report and I say, "Hey, look, it seems to me like this kid is in a bad situation. Here are the details."
Mm-hmm.
CPS goes and investigates and they say, "We don't observe anything from the parents, the family, the living situation, the home situation. We there's nothing that we can document, detail, ascertain from our report." They
Mm-hmm.
close the investigation. If, however, they go in and they corroborate the things that I've said,
Mm-hmm.
and there are additional concerning factors, they can dig deeper. The hard part is they're just bound by so many rules and so many regulations about what they can and cannot document and observe. And if I report on something specific and they observe something different, then there are all these rules about what they can and cannot consider in their
Mm-hmm.
report.
Right.
So that's kind of the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
And many, many times it takes multiple reports from multiple different individuals documenting and observing the same things before action can be taken.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I always say in issues of domestic violence or in issues of child abuse, I always advocate for documenting everything that you can and reporting everything that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if you think it's not consequential, or even if you think, "I'm not really sure if this is abuse or not," if you report it, it gets documented and it gets added to a file that can be cumulative over time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's really important. And so that's the hard part about it, is that CPS, they have so many restrictions and limitations about what they can and can't do. So the more people who report differing circumstances, the more ammunition they have, the more power they have to take action against things.
Okay.
And that's why I always say, if you see something, please say something.
Say something.
Yes, even if you think that it is inconsequential, or even if you think like, "Oh, what can I do? I'm just observing this one little thing." Well, that one little thing could be the 99th thing that's been reported to
Right. Right.
CPS.
Exactly.
That could
Exactly.
be the thing that pushes it over the edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
So
you,
that's
you're
why I always advocate for that.
you're absolutely right. And in this case with the Duggar family, I feel since they went to uh, Joseph's home with Kendra, I don't think they
Hmm.
went there to because they thought there was something going on. I think they went there to talk to her, and they discovered something which led to these charges of false
Hmm.
imprisonment and endangerment. And I I would hope that maybe this would be enough that they can say we need to look at this entire family because there is a pattern here.
Yes.
There's a pattern, and all you need to do is go back and watch their shows. My God, to see that women are kept under the thumb of men, and that can lead to all kinds of horrible things. And read what this cult, what they really believe. So I hope they do go in and take a look at each one of these families because I mean, Josh, he did three things. When he was a teenager, he did what he did with his sisters and their friend. And of course, he apologized, and it was up to the girls to accept the apology. I mean, we could go over that. It makes me so angry.
Oh, I mean, that whole thing, you know, having having a kid abuse their own siblings and then
Mhm.
apologize for it, and then forcing the siblings to accept that apology, that all of that is just toxic.
Yeah, very toxic.
There is so much more digging and research and therapy that needs to go into all of that. It's
Mhm.
like there is such a culture in evangelical Christianity about forgive and forget.
Right.
And that is not a mentally healthy
Mhm.
tack to take when you have been abused.
Absolutely.
The more
Absolutely.
mentally healthy tack to take is like, I was abused. I forgive you for doing that to me, but I cannot forget what happened because I'm
Mhm.
going to use that as information in our relationship going forward. And I'm going to realize that I need to have boundaries and I need to have distance and I need to protect myself,
Mhm.
period.
Right.
Forgiving someone should not mean that you allow them to have full access to your life. And it's
Exactly. My God.
it's just,
Right.
yeah, there's like a lack of understanding there. I feel
Mhm.
like there's some gaps in that understanding, but I think that's where, the whole religion and mental health, uh you know all of the intersections between religion and mental health need to be re-examined,
No question.
because
Absolutely.
I'm not ever going to say that all religion is bad,
Mhm.
and I'm not ever going to say that you should not forgive people, but
Right.
your religious ideals need to be framed in a mentally healthy way.
Mhm.
And so much of religion is like put other people before you.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's some misunderstanding there. We need to rethink that, because
Yes.
and for me particularly with my own family, what I ended up learning was that yes, I can forgive people and not have them in my life. I
Mhm.
can forgive people and not allow them access to my personal thoughts and feelings.
Absolutely.
And also, I can put things in a religious framework but not sacrifice my own mental health for the well-being of other people.
Absolutely right. And that's basically what the Duggars were doing. So
Yeah.
Josh does that when he's a teenager. Then, Ashley Madison happens. That is the website where guys would try and hook up with, to have affairs, and his name
Yeah.
was released. And they talked to some of the women that he had hired, and he was not a nice guy at all. Very, violent, apparently. And then we have the CP on his work computers bad enough that he had to is serving 12 years. We have all of that, and now this. And now we have Joseph admitting it on the phone, what he did, and apologizing. His thoughts were not pure. And again, like we talked about last night, thank goodness, the dad at the very least had the common sense to go to the police and not say, well, I'll go to Jim Bob and we can have a stern talking to him. No, he went to the police, thank goodness.
Mhm.
And then they go to Joseph's house and end up charging his wife too.
Yeah.
So there's something very, very wrong. There's a thread of abuse that goes through that whole family, and I really hope they investigate every single one of those people that
Yeah.
are still in that cult, in the, you know, Jim Bob is our leader type thing, and
Yeah.
because that
And
means
the
they need to be looked at.
Yes, and the hard part about that is that when you grow up with that kind of abuse, you think it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are certain blurred lines that
Yes.
happen. And you have a lack of understanding about boundaries and respect and what is right and what is wrong. And there also is a lot of built up anger and resentment
Mm-hmm.
where people don't realize that they're crossing a line
Mm-hmm.
because they grew up with that. It was normalized. They think that's what is healthy, and they don't realize how unhealthy it is because they have not been exposed to anything else.
To anything else, exactly. They've been just in their little covered bubble, and very,
Yeah.
very unhealthy. Gosh, if we could just get them out and show them the world and say, hey, it's not that bad. You know, it can be a really great place. But again, it's such a deep problem, and one that we certainly can't solve tonight. But like you said, if you see something, say something, for goodness sakes. You know, that's what you need to do. So now, do you follow the Barry Morphew story?
I have followed some things in limited content. I most of what I follow is on snippets from what you guys have and Hidden True Crime has.
Mm-hmm.
I just have limited brain space for that right now as I'm, dealing with my own struggles at the moment, unfortunately.
No, oh, believe me, I understand. You only have so much room for true crime. But would you mind just staying with us while I talk briefly about Barry Morphew?
Of course.
Okay. I got an email and a text from a couple of people saying Barry Morphew was trying to have Suzanne Morphew cremated. And I'm like, what? Now he's waiting for trial. Okay. He's going to stand trial again. It was dismissed before, but they've rearrested him for murdering his wife. His daughters, the two daughters, are standing by him. And here's a text that I got from a friend. I said, hey, I just saw a headline that said something about Barry was going to cremate Suzanne. That's the wife that he allegedly murdered. And they found her after several years of her being missing. They finally found her. And my friend wrote back and says, yes, his daughters attempted to have her cremated recently, and Barry signed off on it. At that point, the state stepped in to block it and seized her remains back. The daughters filed a motion to force the state to give her body back, but ultimately dropped the issue. It would have been, it would have been a very bad look for them and a guaranteed loss. No one made any effort to reclaim the body since it was released, yet decided to do this just before the trial. Obviously, an attempt to destroy evidence on Barry's part. Yeah, it's like they said, uh-oh, we've got her remains. Let's cremate them before they decide they want to look at them again, And I'm glad the state stepped in. I think it was just I think my friend's right. I think it was an attempt by them just to destroy possible evidence. Now, why the state released the remains, I don't know. But that's the worst thing that could have happened, would be those remains of Suzanne's to be cremated, because who knows what they may need. So I'm glad to hear that they were able to catch that before it happened. So let me just check and see when his trial is coming up. We have been following this for years on Websleuths. Let's see. Barry Morphew trial date. Oh, it's going to be, it's going to start October 13th, 2026. It's expected to last 6 weeks. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, I don't know if it's going to be live streamed. It seems like a YouTuber did something once that's caused it now not to be live streamed. I can't remember. Some drama that happened years ago.
Leave it up to YouTubers
I know, darn YouTubers.
to mess up the live stream of the trial.
It was, they have those WebEx streams, and you can't stream them. If you're in a WebEx court situation, you're not allowed to make it public. You can join it, public can join it, but you can't. Well, somebody decided to stream it, and the judge got very mad. So I don't know if we're going to see it live streamed or not. Yes, it's going to be in October, Maryland Landis. Let me see if it will tell me if it will be live streamed. Let's see, Barry Morphew trial. Will it be live streamed? Court proceedings will not be live streamed.
Mm.
Darn it.
And where is it located?
In Colorado.
Okay. Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. They are not one of those states that likes to live stream their trials anyway.
Right. Yeah. YouTubers in Barry Morphew case prompt judge to shut off live stream. Yeah, that was from October 2025. So yeah, way to go. And I think it may have been our one that we've been talking about recently, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. But anyway. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We went really late last night, so we're going to end a little early tonight. Megan Connor, I'm looking forward to our mental health Friday this Friday.
Yes.
And I hope it's going to be very good. Can you hang on just a little bit when we're done here? I do want to ask you a quick question. And everybody in chat, I want to thank our wonderful moderators. Thank you so much. Lisa Gallegos, my apologies. Also, Lynn Jen 2, and Four Sons Mom, and Detective's Daughter, and Moonlight View, and Love and Coco. Ladies, thank you so much. Stacy should be back tomorrow. We'll be back here tomorrow for sure. Don't forget to check out websleuths.com, very best true crime discussion forum in the universe, and check out Megan Connor's channel, _verse. We've been putting it up in chat, and we'll put it in the description. Everybody, we'll see you tomorrow night, 10:30 Eastern, on Websleuths YouTube Live. See you later. Bye-bye.